a lot of women that get involved in the adult industry were molested as children, like a giant percentage.
They're sluts,
I don't
they're
want to say it's all of them. I don't want to say it's all of them because I know there's a lot of women that do it just because they enjoy it, and that's totally cool. But there are a lot. There was some survey they did once back in the day, and it was some alarming number.
And those are just the ones that admit it.
Right.
A lot of people can never come to terms with it. I was talking to a therapist who was saying something about plastics. A lot of people that get crazy plastic surgery do it because they were molested and they're trying to change their face. So when they look in the mirror, it's not the person that got molested.
That's what they thought about Michael Jackson. You know?
Really?
Yeah, that was one of the big theories about Michael Jackson. Is his father abused him. Yeah. You know my theory about Michael Jackson?
Tell me.
People are going to, don't say it again.
Tell me everything.
I think he's a castrato. I think he had his balls removed. I think that's why his voice was so high. That was a common thing they used to do with singers.
Really?
Yeah. You ever heard of castrato music?
But is that true?
I'm going to teach Whitney Cummings something. They used to do that with opera singers.
You know so much more than I do.
No, I don't. You know a lot of shit.
I know
not to eat cookies while we're doing a podcast.
Sorry, because my blood sugar. I'm not in.
There's no sugar in those.
I'm not in ketosis.
So
no
little.
wonder I'm so hungry.
Yeah, there's very little. Those are no cookies. They have very little sugar, and the glycemic index on those is extremely low.
How do you not get hungry? I don't understand it.
Because my body burns fat. I eat very little carbohydrates. Like this morning, I ate eggs and fat beef.
So you never have like sugar spike or sugar dips because you don't need sugar.
I don't have any spikes. No, I'm eating fat most of the time. I'm eating fat and meat. That's what I eat mostly.
Oh God, I need to just regroup here. I need to start from
scratch. It's way healthier. It's way better cognitively.
Yeah.
This is what I don't get mentally tired this way.
I take 4 naps a day, Joe.
I don't take any naps.
I'm always so fucking tired.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on beta blockers too. I think that's a whole other thing.
You're on beta blockers?
I take beta blockers.
Why are you on beta blockers?
I get really bad migraines, and it's hormonal, but I think I figured that out.
But beta blockers are supposed to keep you from getting nervous.
Yeah, it stops like adrenaline, I think, from what I've understand.
Yeah.
And
I know a lot of archers use that.
Yeah.
They actually test for it.
Yeah.
Because when you're on in archery competitions, and then nerves will make you shaky.
So I produce a lot of adrenaline and cortisol at the tiniest things because I'm a fucking trauma surgeon.
You need a goddamn hug, woman.
Don't.
Every time I'm around you, I want to hug you.
I'm a fucking spaz. And so I was getting really bad migraines because of my neurochemical spikes. I would get too much adrenaline and too much cortisol when I get nervous. So I take 2 beta blockers a day. I'm a catch.
Jesus.
If you had your balls cut off today, would the
it's the way you're
of your vice go?
The way you're developing. They do it to a boy when they're very young. There's actually recordings of castratos from the early 1900s. See if you can get that.
What surgeon does that surgery?
Jamie?
Got us pulled off YouTube before.
Did it?
I'll pull it from there. So.
Oh, really? Because it's like child pornography.
No, because it's because the recording gets flagged by YouTube as being their proprietary or their property, and so anything that you use that's someone else's stuff can get you pulled off of YouTube. You know, like there's a shitload of people out there that have like these nature videos. There's a big one. Gets us pulled all the time.
Really?
And, yeah, people that own things.
Can you pay for it? Like the way you would license something?
You could do something like that, or you could give them your ad revenue, but you would have to give them like all the ad revenue from a show. Yeah.
That's insane.
It's insane. So like if we played a clip from The Office and we played it and you could see it on the show, we would totally get flagged and pulled off of YouTube. Yeah. And if it happens more than one time, you can lose your whole channel.
That's insane.
Yeah, you could argue that it's fair use, but you don't have a license to do it. And if you're making money off of it, it might not be considered fair use. So listen to this sound. What this sound is that we're hearing. And Jamie, what is the name of this?
Alessandro Moreschi sings Ave Maria.
This is a young man who had his balls removed, and one of the things that happens to them as they get older, they never really develop masculine traits. This guy got fat
because he had no testosterone.
Yeah, no testosterone. There's no balls, and so they have this haunting, high-pitched, almost female but not quite sound, and it was a preferred sound. So much so that they would take children and sell them off, and they would get their balls cut off at a young age, so they would develop to be castratos.
I can't handle things like this.
Yeah. This is my thought about Michael Jackson. I think Michael Jackson's voice was so high. It was so high-pitched, and like his falsetto was so pure. I mean, no one's going to know. I mean, there's no way to know, but I'm a retard and I have my own thoughts. These are my thoughts.
But if I'm the surgeon who did that surgery, after he dies, why aren't I coming forward and getting $5 million for this story?
Because that surgeon's going to go to fucking jail. And you do that shit
illegal?
in America? 100%. You just took a kid and cut his balls off. You can't do that. It might not even be real. I might just be a stupid person who has a dumb idea, which is more likely.
I don't know. I think it's a pretty good explanation. I mean,
it's weird,
because
right?
he had other brothers that didn't sound like that.
They didn't sound anything like that. You hear Jermaine Jackson saying he sounds like a man. Michael Jackson never sounded like a man.
Doesn't add up.
Yeah, it was all weird.
It's fishy.
Well, it's also the abuse that he suffered as a child and his incredible connection to children. This bizarre connection.
Well, because when you're traumatized, you get stunted, yeah?
What, Jamie?
The doctor that killed him or was in jail for killing him wrote in a book that his parents had him chemically castrated.
What is that? Oh, like taking those pills?
That's what he wrote in a book. I'm reading on some New Zealand news hub. I don't know how accurate.
Well, they do that. They've done that to child molesters. They do that to child molesters. They give them the option.
Oh, so that you don't.
Michael Jackson chemically castrated by parents, claims doctor. Dude, this is my fucking theory. God damn it, I'm right. I bet I'm right. Well, also his children weren't his children, right? He's a heterosexual man, but heinous things happened to Michael in his lifetime that actually changed or had him morph into who he thought he was. One of those things, according to Murray, was his parents arranging for his chemical castration. His testes were never removed, but injections were given to Michael Jackson to maintain his voice, his high-pitched voice of a child that went long beyond puberty. He places much of the blame for Jackson's extraordinary but difficult life at the feet of his family. I fucking knew it.
So let me ask you, is this something that stops testosterone production?
Yes.
Like what's given to kids who are transitioning and that sort of thing?
You're done. It's
wow.
on. That's why he was so skinny.
And how long ago was that? I thought that was a more recent thing.
They did that to him as a child.
But then why did he grow so tall? Can you still grow?
Yeah, you can still grow. Women are tall. You're tall. You're taller than me.
A lot of GMOs.
That's why? No, it's just different genes.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop you from growing tall. It stops your muscles from developing.
Oh, but and then what does that have to do with the vocal cords? Because something about your vocal cords.
Testosterone changes your voice. That's why when a woman turns into a transgender man, their voice becomes a different thing.
Right. Is that legal?
No. It's not legal to chemically castrate a boy.
It's expensive, though.
It's fucking crazy.
Because that's we talked about this in Roseanne.
This doctor's right. If that doctor's right, and I bet he is right. If you wrote about this, I bet he's right.
He self-published it, too.
What does that mean? No one would give him a book deal?
Who the fuck's going to give a book deal to the guy who killed Michael Jackson?
Bad idea.
Yeah,
well, someone gave a book deal to that Milo...
No, they didn't. They took it away.
Oh, did they get the money back?
Yeah, he lost it. He lost his book deal when the thing came out about him thinking that it's okay for young boys to have sex with gay men.
Not great. Not great. Not a great brand.
The gay community has a different take on that.
Really?
Yeah, they have a different take on it than the straight community. The idea of young gay boys having sex with gay men, it doesn't bother them in the same way with a lot. I'm not speaking for the gay community, and I don't want to generalize, but the reactions that I've had from gay friends that talk about it say it's way more common.
Huh.
Well, that was the Bryan Singer thing. That Bryan Singer had those parties at his house where he had a whole pool full of fucking gay kids.
And Morrissey also defended Kevin Spacey about it, and was like, "It's different."
Yeah,
but how young? How do you know if you're 17 and like we were just talking about the power dynamic? How do you even know? You're trying to figure out who you are. You're looking for a father figure. Are you abused yourself? It's like we don't know until they grow up and figure it out in therapy if it was really consensual.
Yeah, I mean. It's weird that we put this arbitrary date too, like 18. You're 18,
it's
you can
so
figure it
arbitrary.
Out. All right. Well, you can go to war now. You're 18. Like what?
I figured out at 32 who I was.
Well, when she should be allowed to vote? I say 50.
I say that's a really. Yeah, I mean it's so interesting. It's like I don't know.
When should you be allowed to drive? I drove like a maniac when I was young. I just never should have had a car until I was like 25 years old.
When should you be able to drink?
When should you be able to drink?
If at all.
If at all.
Yeah,
it's a good question.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
And when should you be able to have kids?
That's a good question too, because you only can do it for a certain amount of time.
That's right. And by the time you can't do it anymore, that's when you finally know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm 35 years old. I finally am qualified to be a mother, and this is when you stop being physically capable.
Isn't that nuts? Like you have a couple more years, we could still shoot one out.
I have. I have my shits on ice, so I think I might have more time.
But you have to find someone that you would really raise a kid with.
Yeah,
it's a very different.
I have to find the perfect nanny.
Yeah,
it's hard to do. No, I have a guy that I think is pretty A+.
A plus.
And if he's not, I'll just give the child to you.
Whoa,
you seem to be doing a pretty good job.
I'll raise him in the forest.
Yeah, I mean, and then you said it's just like that's a very real fear. I'm finally for the first time like, oh God, I have to get my shit together on that. Yeah. But then I get super scared about this world. I'm like, do I want to bring kids into this world?
Yeah, I have a bit about that too.
Oh yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want to have kids today. Yeah, why would you with all the books and medicine and shit? People are shitting kids out in cave floors. That's why.
Are we going to have water in 20 years?
Yeah, we'll have water.
Yeah?
Yeah, we're going to figure this out.
We're going to be drinking salt water?
We're panicking, we're freaking out, but that's also why we correct things. I think the technology, ingenuity, and I also think, as ironically as it seems, a guy like Donald Trump as president is going to really activate people.
Agree.
They're going to start moving in. Look at this fucking Women's March
You're
thing.
right. You're right.
A big part of that is having to grab the pussy president.
It had to get this bad in order for us to wake the fuck up because we are all zombie sleepwalkers.
He's the reason why those pussy hats, that, by the way, whoever's making a windfall off those goddamn pussy hats,
I know, Jesus.
They should be thanking Donald.
There were people down there selling them.
No one knows how to make pussy hats like me.